A scene in SketchUp is really a collection of various settings. You could think of it as a folder where you store these settings. For example, we could take these shadow settings, this style treatment, and this active section cut, and remember all that information as a scene. When you create a scene, it shows up as a scene tab. Now, if we change the shadows, the applied style, and create a new section cut, we could store this new information as a scene. And now, by simply picking the Scene tab, we recall all those settings. What's more, we can actually create a transition between the scenes, which effectively animates the shadows, section cuts, and other attributes. With that introduction to scenes, let's break scenes down by looking at the specific settings you can save individually or in combination. Find these in the Scene dialog box, which you can toggle on through the Window menu. With the Scenes dialog box, be sure to toggle the extra settings on so we can choose which attributes to save. Let's examine each setting individually, starting with camera location. This allows you to save any view, so let's add a scene from this view, move up and around, save another view, move in closer, and save another view. Now clicking on the Scene tabs will take us back to that saved view, and we can move between the views with ease. It is always helpful to name your scenes. In the Scene dialog box, select a scene and rename it. Hit Enter to accept. Doing this for our scenes also updates the Scene tabs, so we know what each scene corresponds to. The next option is to remember hidden geometry. Let's start by hiding several objects and creating a scene. Hide more objects and create another scene. Now unhide all of the objects and create another scene. Toggling through the Scene tab shows it remembers what was hidden or not. We can quickly hide and unhide objects by using scenes. Another way to hide objects is through layers, and that is the next option in Scenes. Each of these objects is grouped and on separate layers. By toggling those layers on and off and creating scenes, we can control which layers are visible or not. Section planes are the next option for scenes. Add a section plane to the model and add a scene with this section active. Now add a second section and remember this section with a new scene. Moving through these scenes can create some very interesting section animations. If you want to learn more about animating sections in SketchUp, watch our video on advanced sections. By now, you should have a good idea of how scenes work, and that you can save unique drawing styles through scenes, can change the shadow settings and save them to scenes, and can also remember how the axis is oriented in different scenes. Some options like axis and hidden geometry seem to happen instantly when you click on the Scene tab. However, other options can have a smooth transition when you move between scenes. So let's examine how this works. Create several scenes and remember the camera location and shadow settings. Now open the animation settings. These are found in the Model Info dialog box under the Animation tab. Each option refers to an amount of time in seconds. For example, I'll change the scene transition to 3, which means a 3-second transition time between each scene. Now, when I move between the scene we set up, it takes 3 seconds and transitions to the next scene. If I change the time to 1, it takes only 1 second to transition between scenes. You can turn transitions off entirely if you want to move instantly between each scene. With the ability to transition between scenes, you can create an elaborate walkthrough or sun-shadow study. To cycle through all of your scenes automatically, right or context click on a Scene tab and choose Play Animation. As SketchUp moves between our scenes, notice how it pauses before moving to the next scene. This is the scene delay in the animation settings. You can create a longer delay between scenes, or enter 0 to tell SketchUp there is no delay between your transitions. Now that we have our animation settings set up correctly, you can export this entire animation as a separate video file. Go to the File menu, and under Export, choose Animation. Adjust the options for creating a video that suits your needs. A full range of options are part of SketchUp Pro. Remember that larger sizes and higher frame rates will result in better quality video, but also a much larger file size. Also, if you have a complicated model with shadows and a lot of scenes to export, it can take quite a long time to export. Let's look at a few more options you have when creating scenes. If you are creating an animation, but still want some working scenes that won't be part of the animation, you can toggle those off on an individual basis with this checkbox. You can also rearrange the order of your scenes by moving them up and down in the stack. Finally, you can update what settings are saved to a scene. Let's say we have several scenes with various settings saved, including shadows, layer visibility, and camera locations. However, for scene 2, we'd like to have a different view, but not change the shadows or layers. Select the scene in the dialog box, change our view as needed, and then click to update the scene. Be very careful to choose only the specific properties we want to affect. We only want to update the camera location for this scene, so after checking the appropriate boxes, we click Update, and our scene is now correct. If you need, you can also update multiple scenes. For example, I could select several scenes and change only the shadow settings for all of them. One final tip: if you create a scene, but find that you saved more scene settings than you wish to remember, you can simply toggle off those options for that particular scene.